Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday to you. Had to check my actual day of the week again. I'm all sorts of thrown off. Body clock is ruined. Thanks, fall break. Everything's trying to get figured out here. We are at Brighton High School for Game Night Live tonight. We're staring at the Bengal. That's a nice statue right there. Is that what a Bengal tiger looks like, JJ? I feel like they're off.
I can only assume. I feel like that looks more like a cougar. But
you could tell. Look, you know what it is? It's a liger. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what a liger is.
That's a liger right there.
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite would be proud.
We're at Brighton High School.
It looks like something he drew.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It looks quite interesting. I love it. This is a beautiful school, by the way. I keep forgetting how amazing this place is.
They renovated it in the last 3 or 4 years, and it looks like a college campus. It's terrific.
With the Big Cottonwood Canyon just off in the distance here, and
Mount Olympus
in view, a beautiful, beautiful location. And by the way, maybe the last beautiful day of the year, if it really kind of shakes up, if it shakes down to it. In terms of nice, warm weather, the wind picked up, which means, of course, that storm is going to come in.
The cold front is on its
happening.
way.
It's happening. So we've got tons going on here. But, yeah, like I said, it's a Wednesday, and so we're doing Game Night Live on a Wednesday, as is the tradition as you get into fall break for a lot of these schools. Used to be the hunt, you know what I mean? Used to be when you go get the hunt. In Idaho, it was you got to pick the potatoes. You know, that's why you got the break at the beginning of the year. Now this is
potato harvest.
And now we are. Did they do any of this? I felt like Wyoming. It was the hunt all the time.
We had a hunting break. Yes, for sure. Everybody went hunting.
It was 2.5 months long. It was just the entire fall.
Well, in Wyoming, you truly have to go hunting to be able to survive those winters.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a beautiful day. We are extremely excited about the rest of what this weekend will bring in college football here locally. The excitement level for some of these teams, I think, as I started to look at it today, and after our conversations yesterday, because I got done with the show yesterday, and I felt like it was a lot of doom and gloom. You know what I mean? Like for Utah fans, where it's just like, well, we're not going to do very well. Well, we're going to try to figure out this quarterback. I guess we get Cam Rising's hurt, and I guess the season's kind of washed. And I hope we didn't come across like that, because I really do think that your best course of action is going forward, building your program around Isaac Wilson, who you want to hang your hat on for the next 4 years, right? I mean, that's all you have. That's all you have to go off of now. That's the only thing we can do. That's the only thing, if you're a Utah fan, that you can look at and say, okay. And if that's the case, and all we're hearing now is Andy Ludwig coming out and going, yeah, we're adjusting things to Isaac now. It's not Isaac coming in and just running the stuff that Cam was used to running. It is going to be his offense now, and I think that's massively appealing. And so I was like, you know what? This isn't an apology, but what it is a don't feel so bad. I know yesterday sounded doom and gloom from us, but that was when we had heard officially that Cam was out and they were looking at, what does an 8th season look like? All those conversations are absolutely wild. But
I think what it is Saturday a lot of reality set in. Or sorry, Friday night.
Yes.
And then reality set in the next couple of days. And then the news about Cam, that was another reality that set in.
Right.
The reality on Friday was the Big 12 championship, the college football playoffs, all that stuff. That's not happening. Okay? So now you got to readjust your expectations. And then you see Cam play poorly, and it was because obviously he's got some injuries and he's physically not able to go out there and do it anymore. And then news that Cam is gone, that he's out for the year, and somebody who led you to 2 Pac-12 championships is no longer going to be there.
Right, yeah.
And we're let's all be honest and real. The chances of him returning to be the starting quarterback at Utah in his prime, the Cam we remember, though, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So that there was a mourning process, I think, for a lot of Utah fans, because there was a lot of sadness because of the falling short of expectations combined with the end of an era. The Cam Rising era was one of the great eras in Utah football history, and it ended this week. And
yeah, but
that sunk in.
Did it?
Don't do that. We're not talking about an 8th year. That's a rule. We're not talking about an 8th year with
You're
Cam.
Not allowed. You're not
We're
allowed.
going to move on.
I know.
We're going to move on. And I think today, I'm glad you brought that up, Because I think you're right. Today is a day for Utah fans to be like, you know what? We thank Cam for what he did. He's one of the greats all time in our program. We don't have this heavy burden of the expectations anymore. We don't have to wonder what's going on with Cam. It's time to start fresh and start anew in the second half of this season. Just in your mind, say we're 0-0, and it's time to look ahead and look forward. And you've got Isaac Wilson now taking all the reps in practice. You know he's going to be the guy. You've got this team that now is back in that comfortable mode of having the chip on their shoulder. Nobody believes in them. They're the underdogs. And let's see how they respond.
Right.
That's when they always are their best. Every Kyle Whittingham team I've covered, with maybe the exception of 08, has succeeded when they've been in that situation. They've been at their best. They're never the best when they're the highest-ranked team.
Sure.
They never deal with the hype very well. What they do deal with very well is adversity, and that's what they're facing right now, and I'm very, very fascinated to see how they respond.
Let's keep this conversation going. I want to kick the show off officially, though. I know that I'm flip-flopping a couple things here. I know you probably noticed that, but my thought driving down here was, because I had people reach out. I had a couple friends reach out and be like, so that's it, huh, for this Utah team this year? You think they're done? And I'm like, no, did it come across like that? What I'm saying is there's a massive amount of hope. Let's kick the program off as we always do. It is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. Let's kick off the program with the cut as we always do, and let's keep going with this Utah talk. And the silver lining of what has been quite a weird season for the Utes so far. So let's jump in right here with the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And, of course, this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth for all of your local trusted financial retirement needs. Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. JJ, let's jump into it then. Let's get into what this thing is supposed to look like for the rest of this year for Utah. I was thinking about it too, and I thought, because I was thinking about the conversation we had with with Oklahoma State's sideline analyst yesterday, and I was like, which spot would you rather be in? Would you rather be Mike Gundy running that program right now, or would you rather be Kyle Whittingham? And 1,000 times you would say Kyle Whittingham right now, because you might have a lot of questions about your team, and certainly you're not used to being 1-2 in conference play, and it's a new conference, and you were supposed to be, and so was Oklahoma State, supposed to be at the top of the conference. And I said, you know what though? No, you're in a way better spot than Kansas, than Oklahoma State. Maybe obviously Kansas State and Iowa State and BYU are doing exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. And so, but the thing is that knowing what we know about Utah, knowing what we know about Kyle Whittingham, and what we know about what we could see from this Utah defense at any given time, that's been the thing to me that I think that now everything is going to rub off on the entire team, this change. And I hope that they've had not just the players' meetings, because we heard that there was a players' meeting, right? And I never liked the players' meetings from all, anytime that a team calls a players-only meeting, I kind of roll my eyes, because they usually just turn into people getting in there and airing dirty laundry, and things sometimes get worse. But from what it sounds like, Isaac Wilson sort of took over a leadership role that he was trying to take over, but at the same time he couldn't, because he wasn't really the quarterback. And that makes a difference. Now your guys don't have to listen to you, but they are certainly going to tune an ear a lot more when you're the guy, when you're QB1 with until further not even until further notice. There's no caveat to this. He's the quarterback of this team,
yes,
unless he gets hurt.
Unless he gets hurt or he doesn't perform well.
Right.
So this is time to embrace that. Like I said, start with a clean slate, kind of look forward and look ahead. All right, this is the end of an era of Utah football ended on Friday night, and with the news Monday. So this group can now regroup. I love that they had the player-only meeting, because I think a lot of guys, for two reasons. One, I think they realized they were underperforming. And you know what else really moved that team? Is Junior Tafuna did the post-game press conference after the game, after the loss at Arizona State. And he couldn't even talk. He was so emotional.
Right.
He was so hurt and so disappointed in what they were doing. He couldn't even get words out. And I think that moved a lot of people in that program.
Right.
Like that guy cares. That guy cares. Why don't we care as much as
Sure.
that guy? And a chance for the leadership council to look around and say, you saw that guy cares. This means everything to him. Why does it mean everything to you?
And
I think that's something you have to do in that room is call some
100%.
people out. Not individuals, but as a collective. Why are we playing like this? This is not Utah football.
Yeah.
I don't care about the wins and losses. The way they're playing right now on both sides of the ball is not Utah football.
And part of the reason it's not Utah football is because Utah football has never hung its hat on the one guy. You know what I mean? This has never been a program of a superstar takeoff type of person. And if it ever is, think about Alex Smith. He's the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. But did you ever think, while he was playing, did you ever think to yourself, now that guy is the only reason this team's doing well?
I can list
of course
off
not.
10 other guys on that team.
Of course.
Paris Warren.
Yes.
And you keep going on and on and on about these guys on that team that end up playing in the NFL too. It was not all about one guy.
Sure.
That 2004 team, you're right. 2008 was not about one guy. It was about a collective group of experienced players that came together at the right time. A lot of them were NFL quality players. And they came together and they had a special season. You're right. This year felt like it was all about one guy. That guy's not playing anymore. So now it's time to reset.
Well, think about I think part of the reason Junior's sitting next to or part of the reason he's getting emotional too, he's sitting next to Cam Rising.
Yeah.
There's a guy, they've both been through a lot in this program, right? And it's been a lot of crazy stuff. But I'm telling you, I think that things are going to change this weekend. And certainly you're hopeful that they do. But at the same time, it's a great time to be able to recover against two teams who are not anywhere near. By the way, neither of those teams, TCU and Houston, TCU obviously a little bit more than Houston, but even right now, do you think Sonny Dykes has that culture dialed in?
No.
The Utah culture is the same culture, right? And so it's just that right now, people are not used to seeing that fire going away from some of these players, and I think that you're going to see a reset this weekend. And there's part of me that goes, TCU is actually going to be on the receiving end of a lot of emotional, kind of hard feelings right now for Utah fans. Unfortunately for the Horned Frogs, they're going to come into Salt Lake. They kind of have nothing to lose, but at the same time, Utah has a ton still to lose, because if they can't ratchet it down and find themselves again and go, yeah, that's a little bit more of what we're on, and maybe it's going to take a 3 or 4 week process. You know what I mean? Between TCU and Houston and then a bye week, you better get right for BYU coming into town, because I'll tell you what will change your entire season is beating BYU at your place, who could potentially be undefeated at that point. And then you go, you're back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're back, and this is what Utah football does. You come into our place, you don't embarrass us, and that's why the Arizona loss was so weird, because it was at home. It was on us, all the things that make a tough Utah battle on those nights where they're late games, wearing the all black, all that. And so finding themselves is going to be an interesting process this week. I'm interested to see who the person is that shows up that's not Mekhi Bernard. You know what I mean? I'm interested to see the guys who are going to show up who are not the typical names that you've seen every week, or the guys that you were expecting to see more out of. Because Junior Tafuna, he was emotional about it, but he had that pick that was pretty wild. Yeah. It was pretty cool to watch that thing just land right in his hand. They were like, oh, he lucked into it. I was like, no, he saw what was going on.
He did that last year against Oregon.
He's getting picked up, and he's got one hand right here. He puts his mitt down and reels that thing in. That's an athletic play right there. And you go, but at the same time, aside from that, no one is seeing the fire and the push that D-line typically gets. And you're not afraid of the pass rushers right now. For Utah, that's not a place that they're used to being. Even their backup guys were scary, a year ago, and are in the NFL now. So that's the type of fear that I hope they start instilling in their opponents as of this weekend.
So as far as execution goes, there's 3 problems. 2 of them are on offense. Number 1, the pass game's not great. Even when Wilson was out there, he's 14th in out of 16 quarterbacks in QBR in the conference. They just weren't getting efficiency in the pass game. So that's been a problem. And it obviously got a lot worse on Friday night. It was atrocious. And then the red zone problems. Like, if you can't punch it in, and then you're going for it on 4th down, you're leaving a lot of points out there. And so they've only scored 29 points in their last 2 games. That's not what anyone expected.
No,
this year.
for sure.
So you got to fix those 2 things. Those are fixable. I think they have the guys. You got Dorian Singer. He's proven. They've got Brant Keithy. They've got a lot of good receivers in that room. They got plenty of tight ends. There should be plenty of opportunities for Isaac, and you should be able to make it easy for Isaac to let these guys step up and make plays with them. And then running back has not been a problem. Running back has turned out to be a strength, even though it was a concern. Offensive line has been a strength, even though it was a concern. So that's the offensive issues. On defense, it's just simple. They're not tackling. They're not tackling.
Yeah.
Too many missed tackles. Arizona State won that game on 2 plays.
Both Cam Scatterbo plays.
Both Cam Scatterbo touchdown runs because they couldn't wrap him up at the line of scrimmage. Utah still should have won that game despite all the adversity they dealt with the exception of 2 plays, because they could not tackle. And I know I don't want to take anything away from Cam Scatterbo, but come on, you watch the film on those 2 runs, they were gifts. They were gifts. And if you're the defense, you're watching that, you're like, oh my gosh, that's not us. What are we doing? We're just throwing shoulders at dudes. We're not wrapping up. We're not playing good fundamental football. They got to clean that up. Morgan Scalley talked about this week. They know what they got to do. They got to clean up. He loves these guys. He believes in them. He knows they can do it. But they had to go back to the lab and clean these things up. You fix those 3 problems, Utah can play with anybody in that conference. But they got to get it done. They got to fix those 3 things. And until we see them fix those 3 things, you can't take any game for granted, because this team can get beat by anybody in the conference. We've already seen that. By the end of the season, you're going to look back on those Arizona and Arizona State losses. You're going to be like, ugh.
Oh, for sure.
Because those teams aren't that great.
Well, so today, this first hour is kind of a theme of, and I think the rest of the way is going to be like this too. We could have these same rinse and repeat conversations, I think, if you see teams go. If you see BYU going in the same direction it's going, if you see Utah going in this same weird free fall, right? I mean, two losses for Utah. They're 4-2, but that's funny because based off of the expectations and based off of past performance, this feels like a free fall. A Utah version of it, because you just don't have these types of performances.
It's not just the losses; it's how they're losing.
Yeah. So let's do the thing here that we're going to do with BYU in the next segment, which is readjusting your expectations. We talked to Mitch Harper yesterday about BYU. He said, "Yeah, they're a double-digit team, or they're a double-digit win team now," and you're going, "What?" But with Utah, what are the expectations changed with there? How do you look at what they're doing at 4-2 now and 0-2 in their last 2 conference games? What does it change? Because it obviously, and I'm not going to say it's totally out of the question, but it's a pretty low odd that you get yourself into the Big 12 championship game. And so if that's not off the table, then what do you readjust the expectations this year for? You and I were talking on the way down the stairwell the other day, and you threw out a record for me of how you think Utah's going to end this season. Do you remember what you said?
8-4.
And you said it like grumpy just now. That's a pretty good result after.
That's not what they wanted this year.
Of course not.
And that would mean, so let's look at their schedule real quick before we go to break. TCU at home this week. That's a dub, right?
Give them a win, yeah.
At Houston, that's a dub.
Okay.
They're not losing to a team that can't.
So
score.
then they would have to go 2-2 after that the rest of the way.
Right, but here's the teams. And this is where it gets tough in November. We did not expect November to be tough.
Right.
But this is not going to be easy. After the bye week, we all know who they're playing. All right, we know what's happening on November 9th. And right now, if I had to pick, I'd pick BYU. Until something changes, I'm picking BYU to win that game.
Brant, doesn't he just feel like a homer? Don't you just love bring the tweets? I just love them.
That's fine. Bring it, because I feel pretty confident right now.
Right.
But like we've seen, things can change
pretty
quick.
Yeah.
But after BYU, at Colorado, I mean, is that a gimme right now for Utah on the road? No, it's not. If Colorado's healthy. But then after that, it gets really tough. Iowa State at home.
Oh boy.
Iowa State probably has a Big 12 title berth on the line when they come to Salt Lake City.
Do you remember when I got clowned for saying that when I picked the wins and losses?
I mean, to give you credit, but you and I both have been on Iowa State, and you actually, in
I
your
said they're probably going to lose that game.
You said Utah's going to lose against
and
Iowa
I
State.
got absolutely blasted. They're like, okay, 36-3 in their last home games. Why don't you know?
Who's not picking Iowa State to win that game right now? Even in Salt Lake City.
Right. It's hard to imagine that it would change. Yes.
Yeah, and I know UCF is obviously
a little
bit disappointing, but that's a 2-time zone trip on Thanksgiving weekend when you might not have anything on the line, right? So how inspired, who's starting at that point at different positions? Are you playing a lot of young guys? So by default, I'm going 4-2 the rest of the year.
Huh.
They should find 4 wins out of those 6, but it's not going to be easy until this team fixes those 3 things I talked about.
But I mean, considering what the year has been, 8-4 feels pretty darn good at this point.
What were they last year?
It should be. Were they 8-4?
8-4 with a bowl
and then
loss,
a loss to the bowl.
Which
and by
could
the way,
happen again.
I think both times that they won the Pac-12 championship game, maybe one of them they were 10-3 or 11-3, but one of the years they were 10-4. So they were 9-3. Or no, they were. Oh my goodness, what was it? Maybe they were. No, either way, when they ended those 2 Rose Bowl seasons, at least one of them was a 10-4 year, and so yeah, they both were 10-4 seasons.
Yes.
So, and I get it because
that includes the bowl loss.
You lose in the Rose Bowl game, and that's just part of what it is. It's difficult, but I mean, I think that people might not. I think people might think to themselves, none of these were ever quest for perfections, by the way, and they never were undefeated seasons. They never were. What they were weathering storms inside conference play. Where are you at right now? And trying to and shaking your head after a bad loss here and there, and you go, "Gosh, we got to figure this thing out." Previously, though, they would lose. They lost those. You know, you think about one of those seasons when Cam Rising finally came in, right, and was the guy. 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jake Bentley was it Jake? No, it was Jake. No, it was Jake Bentley.
Jake
right?
Bentley was the 2020 year.
Charlie
Brewer was the 21.
Chaz Brewer says.
Remember,
Jeremy.
they lost to BYU
That's
and
right.
San Diego State
right.
in consecutive
out
weeks.
Out of conference, and then they only have one loss in conference. And
it's still it blows my mind Charlie Brewer is ever starting over Cam Rising.
Yeah, I think.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Again, hindsight, right? But all of this being said, throw out everything right now of what you think that Utah is supposed to do the rest of the way, and readjust those sights because the team is doing it. They try to just win every game in front of them. Does that mean they're going to go 7-2 in conference play? Probably not. There might be some things that they need to fix, obviously, before then. And you're still starting a true freshman going forward, which just means you're going to have some bumps along the way, and he's already had a few, right? And so you're not going to get perfection from him, but I think you are going to see some growth that's going to be awesome for this program and for him. Let's take the break. We'll come back. We got more to go right around the corner. Let's do the same exercise of readjusting your expectations for BYU football coming up. Stay with us. More to go around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Utes return home to the Hill to take on an old familiar foe in TCU. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Isn't this the tune that Marty McFly played when he was the alien when he was Darth Vader visiting from planet, what was it, Vulcan?
Oh, man.
Remember when in Back to the Future? Isn't that what he played in the
Kickstart My Heart?
Yeah, in his dad's ear.
May have been. I'm trying to remember that. Which Back to the Future was that?
It was number 1.
Was it number 1?
Yeah, because he put on that radiation suit
Darth
that Doc
Vader.
Brown had on. Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Can you imagine seeing Darth Vader in the 50s? How would you react to that?
Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. It was a great. I think it was that, but
I think you're right.
I want to see if I've got to figure out if that was a song that he was playing for his dad.
It'd be a good choice.
In his ears. All right. By the way, we're at Brighton High School for Game Night Live tonight, and you know what that means when I start making my way up Fort Union Boulevard in about 2030s. This is not an endorsement in any way, okay? But I always stop at Lone Star Taqueria. Got to get a fish taco or a shrimp taco from there every time I'm here. So I made sure I made sure it came out.
Since you went ahead and said it.
I know.
And this is a free endorsement apparently. I too.
I'm just telling you.
I enjoy Lone Star Taqueria.
I know. I'm right here. And honestly, I hadn't thought about it, but on my way up here I was like, "Ooh, I'm on 23rd East. Ooh, you know what that means? The Lone Star Taqueria is over here to my right. Boom.
Hey, Lone Star, let's do business.
Let's do some biz.
We're big fans. We can help you.
I'm telling you.
Let us help you.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff.
Selfishly, so we can have more tacos.
Good. It's all good, man. Well, they're healthy because they're shrimp. It's shrimp and fish tacos. They're healthy.
Yeah.
It's not brine shrimp, Jeremy. No.
It's battered shrimp.
Oh, I thought you said brine shrimp. I was like, come on. We don't need a Great Salt Lake joke here. How dare you? Welcome back to the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. And one of the things that we've been doing this hour is we try to help you readjust expectations for Utah. JJ puts that win-loss performance for Utah at 8-4 after things are all said and done. What do you do for BYU, though? Now, before we roll it out and we ask about what some wins and losses could be, because I think Utah – I don't know if Utah goes – because how many conference games do they have left? They've played 3, so they have 6 left.
Yeah.
I don't really envision them going 5-1 the rest of the way in conference. But I also – I don't know. In a way, too, it's weird to say 8-4, but that's exactly, like you said, that's what they were last year, trying to figure out Cam Rising. Again, piecemealing the quarterback situation. But that was even a different situation last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these were all backups. These were backups who were coming in. This is now your new starting quarterback, and it's your future, and I think it's a different situation. For BYU, I hesitate to go too far with it, but I'll lean on what Mitch Harper has said and say, hey, this is a double-digit win team now this year. Now, does that mean going 9-3 and then winning a bowl game? Does that mean going 10-2 and going to the Big 12 championship game? If you're 10-2 in this conference, you're likely going to the Big 12 championship game. There's always a 2-loss win, or there has been over the past few years in the Big 12 championship game. So, in terms of expectations, where should BYU's heads be at? And I'll remind you, even after the SMU game, even after the second half of the Baylor game, BYU fans are looking around going, I don't know about this Jake Retzlaff guy, right? And now I think that people have turned that corner from questioning it. Even just that because of the lack of mistakes that he made this past game against Arizona, it was such a thorough beating, and because your defense is so good, I think people have readjusted their expectations, and I think they've probably been okay with just accepting Jake Retzlaff as the guy right now until further notice.
You look at BYU's schedule. It's not what we thought it was coming into the season, because if you told me in July that Oklahoma State would come into Provo with 3 straight conference losses to start the season.
A 10-point dog,
like,
by the way.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, a 10-point dog.
Here we are. So is BYU going to lose at home to Oklahoma State? I can't see it right now.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's not a good football team. So you think they win that. Is it UCF where they finally stumble? 2 time zone travel on the road against a team that might have the scheme, might have the athletes that can give BYU some fits. I don't know.
That's not a Friday night. No, Utah's playing UCF on a Friday. On Black Friday, actually. But BYU's is a regular Saturday.
Correct.
Going out there to UCF. So, yeah. And UCF, by the way, they're all looking at each other going, they're halfway down the road of going, let's call the season.
Like,
right.
That's where are they at?
Yeah.
So I say that. I'm trying to think, as I'm going through these 6 games, Alex, I'm trying to find a reason why BYU would not win these games. That's what I'm doing right now. And I'm through 2 of them, and the only thing I can come up with UCF is the 2 time zone travel, which, I mean, is that really a thing? I don't know. I don't know.
Let me look at the FPI.
It has been in the Big Ten this year, by the way.
Yeah, let me look at the FPI here real quick. And because it changes.
Bring up the FPI, because we didn't trust the FPI before the season.
But that's what
and it's proven us wrong.
But that's what you're doing what the ESPN computer does, which just goes, okay, I'm looking at these schedules, I'm looking at these teams, and just based off what we know right now, no, they'll go undefeated, right? So they have BYU projected at 9.9 wins. So
right,
10
makes
wins,
a lot of sense,
right? And they have Kansas State ahead of BYU in the possibility of making the Big 12 championship game. I'm not sure why, because they have them actually winning fewer games.
And they'd own the tiebreaker.
Yeah, BYU would own the tiebreaker. So Iowa State is the highest ranked one in there. They have them projected at 10.5 wins, so almost 10.6 is what it has here. But the percentage chance to win out, even for Iowa State, nobody is above 10% chance to win out. That's how difficult it is to go undefeated. Basically, these computers go, let's just go off of everything in the past, and you just have to look at it and go, history tells us that it is darn near impossible to do it. However, 9.2% for Iowa State to win out, 5.7% for Kansas State to win out. They only have BYU at a 2.5% chance to win out the rest of the way. They have them losing 2.5-ish games, somewhere maybe 3 games in the rest of the way. If BYU loses 3 games, they're probably not in the Big 12 championship game.
No.
If they lose 2, they have the chance to be right there with Kansas State to possibly challenge. Do Iowa State and Kansas State play one another? I think they have to, right? I mean, at some point we're all looking at this and going, "There's no way."
I don't think they do.
There's no way. No, very end of the season. Oh, last game of the year.
It is the last game of the year.
Oh, what
Take
an
back what I
amazing!
said.
You know what? What an amazing weekend!
Isn't
right?
that great?
That could be
That
phenomenal.
could be a play-in game to the conference championship.
Listen, and BYU fans are going to be, depending on where they're at, they're going to be absolutely on the edge of their seat trying to figure this thing out. So,
what date is that?
The 30th of
the 30th.
November.
Okay, so it is Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep.
Wow, that's huge.
That's a massive one. And so to go for BYU right now, we look at the expectations, just go off of the numbers. Where
do you have the FPI for each game?
I don't know if it's each game. Let me have a look here. And I don't think that – so here's just the Big 12 Power Index here. So they have BYU
okay, so the predictor says that BYU will lose at UCF.
Okay. Well,
so we're going to give the FPI a shot here.
Sure, why not?
The FPI says BYU wins at Utah.
Okay. Well, okay, they have them losing at UCF and they have them winning at Utah?
Correct.
Okay, whatever. Dude, stop with the 2 time zone travel.
Ask the Big Ten, man. 3-10, I think.
It's a real thing.
All right.
And
yeah, but they're not using BYU travel.
Kansas.
BYU travels 2 time zones once or twice a year. They do it. And in the Big 12, you got to do it now. You got to go to Cincinnati.
They're even favored at Arizona State. So the FBI has them winning all but one game left.
And it's UCF.
So that would get them in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
There's that one game, and as I'm looking through, look, it's very possible that BYU goes to Utah and loses that game.
Oh, of course.
Utah,
and in fact,
if Utah gets right and Utah solves the 3 problems we talked about in the first segment, all bets are off, and that's going to be a wild rivalry game, and it's going to be a toss-up. So I think worst case scenario for BYU is 4-2. Worst case, because the rest of the way. Oklahoma State, they're going to win this weekend. UCF, that's weird, right? Because of the 2 time zone travel right before the bye week, right before Utah.
Kansas feels like a gimme.
Kansas stinks. That's in Provo. BYU wins that game.
Now they go
Arizona
to Tempe.
State on the road is
dicey.
Again, I told you I don't think Arizona State's as good as they look right now. And then Houston, the end of the season. Houston, that's a cakewalk at home. BYU worst case 4-2. Most likely reality is 5-1, and then holy cow, if 6-0 happen, my goodness. Because I do think UCF and Utah are the most likely hiccups.
So here's where BYU has gotten actually a really good shake too. They don't play West Virginia. They don't have to play even Colorado, who would feel a little bit scarier than you may have thought, because those games normally you look at at your Oklahoma States and your Kansas, your UCF on the road, Utah on the road. I mean, that stretch of Oklahoma State, UCF, Utah, and Kansas, we looked at and we're like, that you might go 1-3.
There's no way.
Right.
We didn't think BYU would survive that
right.
run.
And now,
starting with Arizona through Kansas, we thought there's no way they're winning those games.
Right. Or they go 1-4. They go 2-3 maybe at best.
Man, we look dumb. Man, I'm an idiot. I didn't believe in the Cougars.
I am an idiot.
I didn't believe in the Cougars. BYU Nation, I'm so sorry. I was a doubter. I was wrong. Now watch them go 2-4 at the end of the season.
No, why would you say
because
something like
I just
that?
got on board a train. I just got on board the BYU train, and now it's going to go off the rails.
Here, better climb aboard.
Remember have you seen that commercial, the Dr. Pepper Hype Train commercial? It comes to a screeching halt. They go, our quarterback got injured. The guy has the tattoo of national champions on his chest. That's where BYU fans are right now, is on that hype train. And maybe they're not getting the full tattoo on the chest about national champions, but you got a lot of people believing there. And you got a lot of different ways that you could hit the brakes on that train in so many different ways. It's unfortunate.
Who thought Utah would hit the brakes the way they have?
Yeah,
it can happen.
Yep.
When is BYU's moment of adversity? When is adversity going to strike this team in a major way?
Let's take a break here. Nominate that youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week every Thursday, which is that tomorrow? Which is tomorrow on our program. We're gonna read off another winner. Our weekly winners for the Hercules Hero of the Week, brought to you by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. You submit that nomination at kslsports.com/contest, and then every Thursday, JJ and I read those winners off, and we get you ready for and we get you a nice prize to those people who are the awesome youth sports volunteers in your neck of the woods. kslsports.com/contest. We'll come back. We've got more to go. When we return, we have a Would You Rather right around the corner, a Game Night Live edition of us being on the road at Brighton High School edition of Would You Rather. So stay right here, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.
Brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Oh.
All right.
I am
Welcome
an
back.
idiot.
Welcome back to the steps of Brighton High School out here.
I should have taken the day off.
Yeah, well, you couldn't on a day like today, brother.
Yeah, I couldn't.
You got the radio show right now. We're here at Brighton High School because JJ is Sly going to be on the call with you tonight then?
Heck yeah.
You and Sly on the call tonight with Brighton taking on
The West Panthers.
and the West Panthers.
It's the Region 6 championship.
This is basically this is for all the marbles tonight then.
If West beats Brighton, they're outright Region 6 champs for the second straight year.
I like it.
If Brighton beats West, then Brighton, West, and Olympus will share a title.
Okay. Wait, Brighton, West, and Olympus?
Yes,
If they lose tonight.
correct.
Who wants a three-way tie for anything?
Well,
Nobody.
Brighton and Olympus. It's better than the alternative.
So are Olympus and Brighton, are they kind of the bigger rivals? I mean, Olympus and Highland used to be kind of a back and forth.
No,
but
I would
Highland
call
not as
Olympus
much.
and Brighton rivals.
East and Highland hate each other.
So who are the rivals in the state right now? In football, Sky Ridge and Corner Canyon.
Okay, yeah.
Because
yeah.
they're competing for state championships.
Uh,
You go to 5A, it's Timpview and Orem.
Yes.
As far as other rivalries, I mean, there's Cache Valley rivals. There's rivals down in St. George.
Yeah.
Pick and choose. They all play each other, and they're close knit.
But in terms of because for a rivalry, especially in high school, for you to really kind of hang your hat on it, there needs to be measured success for kind of a
Correct.
long time for both programs.
yes, competing for state championships year after year after year. And Timpview and Orem are that in 5A.
Right.
These teams have only been in the same region for 2 years now. And they're probably going to do realignment again, and it's all going to get mixed up in a blender because Utah is growing so fast. We have new schools. There's all these changes, and they're having to split schools, and everything's changing every 2 years. So it's kind of hard to develop those rivalries these days, and finding consistency is also difficult.
Speaking of changes, the wind has been kind of picking up here.
Weather's changing.
And I know tomorrow's supposed to be cooler, but is it actually going to come in tonight? Are you going to be out here?
Oh, it's coming in the middle of that. It's about 3 a.m. We're going to get hit with
Okay,
rain.
so are you that's what I was wondering though.
It's going to be gusty tonight.
Did you bring the wrong outfit for the game night live
most
situation
likely,
tonight?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that wears a coat in August and shorts in November.
Okay.
Why? Because I'm an idiot.
Because you're a Wyoming guy.
That's right.
You guys live on the edge in both directions. It's crazy. All right. I've always been impressed by what you guys can do.
I'm just dumb.
Jeremy's
And lazy.
You're giving Jeremy way too much stuff to be able to grab after the show to play.
That's kind of my plan. Is
I know.
when I'm having a rough day, is just give him too much material.
Self-deprecating. We always love it. By the way, you can win lunch from the KSL Sports Zone every Tuesday. It's a Taco Tuesday. You just listen to the program. Cafe Rio hooks you up with a $20 gift card if you're calling number 12 throughout the day on all the shows. So there you go. Cafe Rio and Taco Tuesday together at last. CafeRio.com. All right. Would you rather win the Heisman Trophy or Rookie of the Year in the NFL?
Rookie of the Year in the NFL.
Listen.
And why is that, you ask?
I hear you.
Because not everybody that's won a Heisman Trophy has had NFL success.
In fact, most that win the Heisman Trophy, I feel like do not.
Exactly.
Or at least that's the feeling.
That's changed lately.
Yes.
I mean, I'd have to go through a list of Heisman Trophy winners.
Well, like your Bryce Young is not necessarily tearing up, but like Devontae Smith, he's having a nice little career with the Eagles, right?
Yeah, he's doing well.
Nobody's really falling off the edge of the planet. And with the Bryce Young stuff, I think we kind of look at it and we go, yeah, maybe he'll turn it around. Did Jalen Hurts win the Heisman?
No. Jaden Daniels won the last one. Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota. We could probably say has been a bust. Jameis Winston's no longer a starter in the league, but that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel was a bust. So you get to 2012 with Johnny Manziel, but before that,
the
RG3,
so
Cam
the narrative,
Newton, Mark Ingram, Sam Bradford was somewhat of a bust.
So
Tim Tebow.
this is more recent that the Heisman Trophy winners actually translated into pretty decent pros.
Yeah, and I think that says something about how the NFL has changed.
Then I've changed
and evolved.
Offenses
in the NFL have become more like these spread offenses,
collegiate ones, yeah.
more mobile quarterbacks, and so some of these quarterbacks that have excelled in the college game are now having success in the NFL.
12 years ago, I would have said Rookie of the Year in the NFL. Right now, today, I say the Heisman Trophy winner because the Heisman Trophy is a different level. You get to be on those Nissan commercials, JJ. for the rest of your life.
Yeah, when you're 60 years old, you're still getting checks from Nissan.
That's what I'm saying.
That's cool.
But, I mean, aside from that, the Heisman freaking trophy, in terms of hardware, like, what does the Rookie of the Year trophy look like in the NFL?
I mean, I get the prestige part of it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I want success in the NFL.
As a pro.
I want to make millions of dollars.
Payday.
I want to be the best at the highest level.
Yeah, but if you're a Heisman Trophy winner, you're probably going to Alabama or Georgia or, Ohio State, fill in the blank with the big
Imagine
names.
rushing for 1,500 yards for the Broncos.
Right. Or catching 1,600 yards for the Rams, if you're Puka Nacua. He didn't win the Offensive Rookie of the Year, did he?
No, he didn't because C.J. Stroud did.
Stroud, gosh.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud, not a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy.
Bryce Young, wishing he was Rookie of the Year in the NFL.
Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, boy. He's having an okay year, though.
He is. He's off to a great start.
Olympic gold or an NBA title? Wemby says, Victor Wembanyama, the reason we asked, he says, Victor Wembanyama said he'd rather be an Olympic champion. Are you, come on.
For France to win a gold medal in the Olympics would be a pretty big deal. It's only once every 4 years. But NBA champion, that's what you're trying to win every year. It's the best league in the world. There's no doubt. It's NBA champion.
Plus, he went to a city that they have trophies falling out of the closet.
How many gold until last year? How many gold medals had Steph Curry won?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Until last year was 0.
How many?
He had never even played in the Olympics. But
okay.
But he had 5 NBA titles, right? Did the Warriors win 5 with Curry?
Was it 5?
Like
or was it 4? Well, either way, I think they
Maybe
had
it was 4.
They had a 3-peat.
When you lose count of how many titles a team has, they went on a pretty good run.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. Let's see if we can find out when France last won the Olympic gold in basketball.
The answer is never.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to dot my I's and cross the T's here. All right. Silver medal. Okay.
Yeah.
3 times. Jeez, France.
They went silver in Tokyo.
Always the bridesmaid. Yeah, and they went silver this last year.
Yes.
Well, you're getting pretty close, you guys. Hey, if you want me to be a little bit patronizing to you, France, here it goes. You'll get there maybe one of these days. Hey, you know what? In a couple of decades, you guys might be good enough. That might be good. If there's going to be a country who's going to do it right now, though, it's France, right? Like, you think about all the guys they have. My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Kukoc and Vlade Divac won a silver medal for Yugoslavia back in '88. Come on. Let's go. Tony Kukoc. He's got
Yugoslavia doesn't even exist anymore.
I know. Tony Kukoc has he's got the silver medal for Yugoslavia, and also he has it for Croatia.
But
so there you
if
go.
you combine all those countries that used to be Yugoslavia, how good would that team be?
No, I'm telling you.
Wow.
I'm telling you. Absolutely.
That would change things.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got more to go around the corner. It is by the way, today is not just Game Night Live. It is a Utah Hockey Club game day. They are out in Anaheim tonight. The puck drops at 8 o'clock. That means you're going to get the 7 o'clock pregame right here on the KSL Sports Zone, thanks to us being the official home of the Utah Hockey Club on the radio. All right, we'll take the break. We'll come back. We got more to go right around the corner. Next hour, we're going to be joined by Matt Brown. If you've never heard Matt before from the Extra Points newsletter, Extra Points is something you got to follow if you're on the business side of sports. He's going to give us a little bit of insight. He also did an interesting story about people who are not of the LDS faith attending BYU. Of course, Jake Retzlaff comes up now because he's a quarterback who is of the Jewish faith. And you know what? It's a pretty darn good story. I actually watched his temple in Southern California actually did a full video about it. And him going to BYU and just like that whole thing. So anyway, Matt will join us next. We've got tons going on around the corner. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.